Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, let's talk some face of boxing news. Anybody that came here over 3 days understands that I don't like this title. Once we give boxers this title, then there's a word inside of title that they start feeling, and that's entitlement. When you become face of boxing, which is actually nothing, it just means you're popular. But when you become face of boxing, then you tend not to take any of the fights anymore. You're playing in another league or boxing in another league, right? So that, I watch it sometimes and I know that, if you come here, you see, well, he don't really do too much, too many videos about the new face of boxing, which would be Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis of late is acting like a true face of boxing. I've been calling him for at least 2 years now, the Black Canelo. I was surprised that a fighter of color could even do this kind of thing. But, it would always get me when people would start saying, he's going to be the face of boxing, he's going to be the face of boxing. And my only thing, just as a spectator, a fan of other sports, but boxing as well, you're looking at his division, the lightweight division, the whole time, you're like, so there's a face of boxing there? But there's another guy there that's undisputed. That would be Devin Haney, right? That's undisputed. Why would we have a face of boxing there? You have a guy that was trying to become undisputed in Devin Haney that he didn't want to fight, the Gervonta Davis. Then Lomachenko has been there forever, and you got people calling him the best fighter they ever seen and stuff like that, right in the same division. Teofimo Lopez was there before he went to 140, right? So you're looking at those guys and you're like, well, how could the face of boxing not be one of those other guys, especially if this guy's becoming undisputed, right? And Gervonta Davis not only didn't want to fight these guys, but never has tried to. So I'm like, well, how does that happen? And the only other place I see stuff like that is, well, Anthony Joshua too, who's not a face of boxing, but if you ask Britain, he was a face of boxing. And I would see Canelo Alvarez. How could you be in the 154-pound division, not be a champion, and the champions are Demetrius Andrade, Jermell Charlo, and Jamal Charlo, and not have to fight either one of those guys? One of them, Demetrius Andrade, gets stripped from the title because he couldn't get fights, and then Leon Smith gets it, and then you ignore all those other great guys and fight Leon Smith, and then become the titleist, and then hurry up and leave, go to 160-pound division. But Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade follow him there. He doesn't have to fight them, not even Jamal Charlo became his mandatory, had 3 interim fights. When it became his mandatory, Canelo received this new egregious thing called the franchise title. Then you had Demetrius Andrade over there with the last belt. Canelo had 3 of them. Demetrius Andrade had the last belt, begging him to fight, offering him $40 million, and he didn't want to fight for undisputed. And leave that division, goes to the easier one at 168 pounds. Right? And every time you talk Canelo, it's never a fighter that we think could possibly beat him. Then we talks about everything else. Right now, everybody except Dave Benavidez and Dave Morrell. Those are the ones in his division that are good. We could talk about anybody else, just not them. Back then, you could talk about anybody else, but not the horrible fighter Demetrius Andrade, who was undisputed, could give me the undisputed title in the middleweight division. And the 154, we can't talk either Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. Those are the best guys. Why can we never talk about the best guys? Same thing with Gervonta Davis. Undisputed guy in your division, can't talk about him. Best fighter that people said they ever seen in Lomachenko, can't talk about him. But the face of boxing, right? Now, of late, Gervonta Davis has turned down a whole lot of money, what you're hearing $20 million out there, to fight Devin Haney. Just didn't want to do it. Didn't even want to talk to him. The Saudis ready to give up money, all kind of money. It was even more than that. When I say $20 million, I'm just saying base salary. I'm not talking about what you get on the other end after all the pay-per-views and all that. I'm not even talking about that. That you guaranteed get $20 million. I ain't going to even discuss it with Devin Haney. Now, Conor Ben, who was doped, remind me of Billy Joe Saunders, and Canelo took Billy Joe Saunders instead of the guy that wasn't doped. Conor Ben was doped, come back. He's at 147 pounds, right? Bigger than 140, right? Because Devin Haney is now supposed to be too big for Gervonta Davis. But he's talking, Gervonta Davis goes after Conor Ben. And the messed around, Kona Ben messed around and answered him. Now offered him 15 million, also flat fee. Not flat fee, but 15 million base, and then it could become more on the back end. Now Gervonta doesn't want to do that. So do you guys understand why I don't talk about things like that? You know, I don't talk about a lot of fighters because I'm not going to waste your time with that. You know, these guys are doing other stuff. We're talking about, you know, I view boxing like all other sports. You know, there's got to be a quarterfinal, semifinal. At the end, we find out who's the best. When people are in the way of that, you will notice there's consistency here. I don't really want to talk about them or got nothing to do with them because that's not the boxing. That's that political side of it, which gets in the way of boxing. So, yeah, Gervonta Davis, only thing he's doing good, in my opinion, is acting like a true face of boxing. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.